Ziegfeld Room was the largest stage in the world, with the largest backstage area. Don Arden was to stage the biggest extravaganza yet, his $3 million tribute to classic MGM Hollywood musicals, Hallelujah Hollywood. But the most significant of all, the production introduced the Ebony Guys and Dolls, the first line of black dancers on the Las Vegas Strip.
We were a line of female African-American dancers, and we felt that we were somebody.
By the way, I'm Michael Mackenzie Pratt. I was the assistant company manager of Jubilee for 8.5 years. And prior to that, I had been Don Arden's company manager for the Lido de Paris at the Stardust. When you go to see it today, it is not the Jubilee that we opened. It has seen some changes and in the musical presentations, but it has also seen more changes in integrating the lines both ways. We now have white girls as maids. When I say we, I mean the artistic community. You have white boys as porters. You have more nudes of the African American. I was very fortunate to appear as a performer, a dancer, in the last 2 years of Hallelujah Hollywood. And I have many memories. One of my favorite parts of the show was the presentation of the Ebony Girls in the finale. And my group of boys, of which there were 6, we would do a little walk around, and there was this gorgeous, gorgeous staircase referred to as a birthday cake. And we would be at the base of the stairs, 1 foot on a step, and we would do this big presentation of our arm all the way up, very, very, very slowly, all the platforms to the very, very top. And 2 Ebony girls would come out side by side, one on stage left, one on stage right, and they would proceed to come down the grand staircase. And it was almost as though you could hear a pin drop. Their presentation, they were so absolutely amazing.
I'd like for one person to tell us who Fluff is.
If I may, I'll give you a little background on Fluff. Her full name is Folio, and it's spelled with all double letters, F-F-O-O-L-L-I-I-T-T. That's the correct spelling of her name. And Fluff went back to the days of, I'd say mid-Hollywood, not early Hollywood, but mid-Hollywood in the 40s. And there's a very famous picture of her, as they did in those days, where she's seated on a trunk, and she's wearing a bathing suit. And she's, in contrast to these lovely, lovely, long-legged ladies, she was diminutive in comparison. She wasn't particularly that tall, but that was what they were looking for in Hollywood at the time. And she and Don had an association, then went back to the Moulin Rouge, not in Paris, but in Los Angeles. I will make one story, if I may, please. She was very encouraging to all the ladies, all of them, whether they were chorus or within their own particular group or to integrate into other lines. But if she believed that you had a modicum, even a modicum of talent, she would grab you on the side and say, come here. And I'm going to use Debbie DeCoudreau as an example. Debbie DeCoudreau here, because of Fluff's influence and encouragement, went, and that's who she is, the one that's right there. She's the shortest one, I think. Debbie DeCoudreau was encouraged by Fluff to pursue her singing portion of her talents, and she did. And ultimately, Debbie wound up being the vedette or star of the Moulin Rouge in Paris for, I believe it was 9 years.
Fluff was lovely, she was professional, but she was tough. Her idea of encouraging me was to bring me in the office, close the door, and tell me that I could be just like Trisha Lee if I got off my lazy ass and worked harder. No, I'm serious, because I was happy to be a dancer. I was making more money than I'd ever made in my life. I was having fun. So I thought this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And she was the one that, when she told me that, I was like, really? And so I started to look a little bit more lively on stage. I listened to what Laverne was telling me, because Laverne was hard. Lift your knee, point your toe, put your hand out, look straight ahead, bend your back. And I worked harder, and it was proven right. But she was tough. She loved you, but she did not beat around the bush.
To cut a long story short, and I said, you know, here I'm dancing in a show where I'm a slave and a servant. And I said, Mommy, I came to America to get away from that, where I could be somebody or be something. And then it was only as I was going, because I danced in